back to Joy.
New details today in the case of accused killer Joran Sloot. Also, a new psychological report says that Sloot has an antisocial personality and is indifferent towards others' well-being. Here now with the latest from Peru is Jean Casares, correspondent for In Session on True TV. Jean, you have new information on the viciousness of the attack on this victim in Peru. Tell me about it.
It's really something. You know, we had heard how her injuries were from head to toe, but for the first time in this document that is equivalent to a formal complaint in the United States, we really are hearing how vicious it was. I think most dramatic are the injuries to her skull. There was actually a cranial fracture to her head and hemorrhage to the brain. And it goes on to just denote the many bruises all over her body and the contusions. Talks about the asphyxiation and the fact that the traumatic lesions to her neck, which ultimately led to her death. And Joran says that he took his hands and just started to strangle her around the neck.
Wow. And it also sounds like sounded like it was noisy, wasn't it? I mean, a brain hemorrhage and all that. Did anybody hear anything in that hotel?
No, we have never heard that at all. Nothing has come out about neighbors in the adjoining rooms or anything to that. But you know, in the confession, he says there was never a struggle. Never a struggle is what he says, but these are the injuries.
Right. With a skull fracture and a brain hemorrhage, I would say there was a struggle of some sort. Now, the prosecution...
Yeah, and you know what else? What? You know what else? There's this tennis racket that was found in the room, and originally, you know, it was going around that was the racket that he used, allegedly. The tennis racket had no blood on it at all, so no weapon has been found. So when you look at the injuries on her body, it would have to come from someone's bare hands, it appears as though.
Well, it says something about him, and the prosecution's psych report paints a very ugly picture of Sloot. What does that report tell you? What does it reveal?
Well, this is the first time that we have ever had a psychological summary of Joran Sloot, first time ever, and it talks about that he has a very erratic personality. I mean, in the most modest terms, you can say he's selfish, but it says that he does not respect women, and that if there's any type of conflict, that what he does is just explode, and that it can lead to the endangerment of the lives of others.
Mm-hmm. And this sort of indifference towards people's feelings or any of that, I think that pretty much tells you a lot. Do you think it'll be used by prosecutors in the case, the report?
I think it will, because it's part of the prosecution's document that they gave to the judge. And remember, they're charging this as first-degree murder, that he ferociously and angrily committed this murder. But I can see the defense could possibly use it, too, to say that just his emotions got out of control. It wasn't premeditated at all.
I see. Now, you know, he's claiming that to a Dutch newspaper that he's received email marriage offers. What can you tell us about that? Right. Does he have access to a computer?
Well, not that I know of, no. There were some inmates that were on computers when I was there, and I said, do they have access to the internet? They told me, no, they don't have access to the internet. They take computer courses online, and that's what I saw inmates and general population doing. So if they don't have internet access, he doesn't have internet access. But I was in the room. I didn't see any letters from anyone or any marriage proposals or anything, and he's only had one visitor. It was last weekend on Sunday. A friend of his from the Netherlands actually flew here to visit him. That's the only visitor he's had.
Okay, thanks very much, Jean. Now I want to turn to my panel. Pat Brown, criminal profiler and author of The Profiler, My Life Hunting Serial Killers and Psychopaths, and Brian Russell, attorney and forensic psychology. Okay, you've both heard Jean's report on the condition of the victim's body and the psych evaluation. Brian, you're the shrink. What does all this tell you?
Well, the severity of damage to the victim's body, Joy, and the gratuitous damage that appears to have been done indicates rage. And if he's a psychopath, then he feels entitled to take what he wants from anyone. And so if she denied him or defied him in some way, it would not be surprising at all for him to fly into a rage.
Right. And as a criminal profiler, Pat, does this evaluation fit the profile of a killer?
Oh, absolutely. This is a profile of a psychopath, and I'm really pleased with it because I'm thankful that the psychiatrist didn't decide to go down the psychotic road and sort of support Joran's mother saying, you know, he was going crazy and losing his mind, because that could give him some, you know, kind of support in court. But to say he's a cold-blooded psychopath that simply felt he was entitled to something from this girl and therefore killed her because he didn't get what he wanted, that's a whole different ball of wax. So I'm happy about the report.
Right, and this doesn't happen overnight, Brian. This guy was a ticking time bomb, I think. Right?
Yeah. Psychopathy has multiple factors. It has genetic factors, it has upbringing factors, and then there's a personal choice element in it, Joy. And so, yeah, he became this way over a period of years. I think parenting probably played a role. It doesn't excuse anything, but he's a perfect example of why you need structure and discipline and behavioral expectations in your household. Otherwise, you end up with a sociopathic, narcissistic little punk who becomes a sociopathic, narcissistic adult. Like O.J. Simpson and Joran Vandersloot.
Yeah, I think that you have to watch children very carefully. You know, children who are just nasty to animals or cruel to animals, those kinds of kids need a lot of help early on. It's amazing he didn't get any help up until now, isn't it? He should have been helped before.
Well, all the parents did was swoop in and try to spare him the consequences of behavior. Think about back in Aruba, Joy. He was out in high school at all hours of the night having sex with strangers, drinking, gambling, doing drugs, and when he got in trouble, what did they do? They showed up and told us all what a good kid he was and how he should have compensation from the Aruban authorities for what he had gone through.
You know, it's...
here she is now saying he's a crazy.
Yeah. You know, he's been boasting to a Dutch newspaper that he's received marriage offers from women while in jail. Now, Jean says that there's no proof of that, but it's not unheard of. And the Menendez brothers are more popular now than they were when they were not in jail. I mean, there's something about some women who are attracted to these guys in jail. What do you know about any of that? Either one of you?
Well, I have to say that, you know, take a look at Scott Peterson. He got lots of mail, and Ted Bundy got married in jail, and he got to have conjugal visits, and he had a little daughter. There are some women out there who really just don't want to start dating Joe the box boy over there at the Safeway. You know, they want somebody that doesn't make them somebody. So they can't get anybody exciting. They can't get a movie star in their life. Oh, but who can you get? You can get a killer, because he will pay attention to you. And then you can hook up with him and you can brag about who you're with. You can say, oh, I don't think he did it and all this kind of crap. And maybe even get in the media eventually.
And
so you get a lot of attention.
You know he's not going to kill you because he's behind bars.
He's in jail. Exactly.
It wasn't just...
And you know where he is at
Bundy,
night. You don't have to suspect he's cheating on you. We know exactly where he is. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, he could be cheating on you with other women.
Right. That's
Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, both Menendez brothers, both Hillside Stranglers, the Night Stalker, they all formed committed relationships or got married while they were behind bars. And it says more about the women than it does about the men. It says that they're lonely, they have extremely low self-esteem, they're craving attention, and they're craving a relationship in which they can exert some control.
Yeah. He even claims that...
Joe, I want to say something.
Go ahead.
Just because we have this new evidence in, one of the things that's fascinating is that Joran actually said that he took her pants off and her shoes off after she was dead, which of course makes no sense whatsoever. And we see a massive struggle here. And when we look at her pants have almost no blood on them. So you're going to tell me that you got mad at her over some email thing, and she got, you know, she punched at you, so you went crazy, and you hit her nose, blood going every place, and hardly anything on her pants. This is going to prove that Joran is lying. He was attacking her. He took her pants and shoes off before she was dead. And obviously, this is where the struggle came from. So I hope that they go forth and prove that this was a sexual assault so we can get in that 35 years.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and Joy, while we're here, can I just say, I know you've got a lot of young women watching the show tonight, and I want you to listen to me because I know that many of you think you'd be able to spot a guy like this. That's bull. They will appear so harmless, so charming, you won't see the danger until it's too late. So you got to be more careful than you think you need to be.
Okay, that's the Ted Bundy story. Thanks, guys, very much. Back in a minute with the latest on General McChrystal.